Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's your boy Pigskin Pete. Happy Thursday to everybody. Thank you for joining me on this fine Thursday evening. I try to do these beer streams on either Thursdays or Fridays. So obviously I chose to do it on Thursday. This week we got some bowl games coming up this week. We've got the big matchups between Ohio State and Clemson coming up. 10 days from now, 9 days from now, whatever it is, 8 days from now. Same with Oklahoma and LSU. We can talk about any of those things. And I want to say something real quick before we get started. Obviously, you can see the number on the screen to call. If you want to call, the call-in show is driven by the callers every single week. You can call in at 864-207-4522. I'm sure a lot of you have a lot to say. If you don't have anything to say, we'll end the show early. It's pretty much that simple. But I do want to say this before I start. I have come to really enjoy the Ohio State fans. And that cannot go understated. It's all fun to me. And I will say I've dealt with a lot of different fan bases over the past couple of years. I know some of you Ohio State fans are new here, and this is your first time dealing with me on YouTube, but I've done, Georgia Tech, Alabama, South Carolina, forget about it. I made a living off South Carolina videos early on, probably 40 or 50 of them. Missouri, you name it, Florida State. I don't know how Michigan. Michigan's another big one. But I interact with a lot of these people. Do not like me at first. And then eventually they come along. So I feel like in the future, I'm going to have a very good relationship with a lot of Ohio State Buckeye fans, no matter what happens on December 28th. That's usually the way it works out. But anyways, if you want to call in, the number to call in is 864-207-4522. Let me see who is in the chat real quick before I check the phone lines. C-Raw, what's up, Pete? What's up, C-Raw? Johnny Red Dot's in the house. Coulter Gas, Comic Dude 45, Brian Scruggs, Ricky Baker. Ohio State is going to absolutely destroy the Clemson Tigers. Robert Zeruth, Dennis Wilson in the house. How you doing, brother? Ballard Sports Media, otherwise known as Christian Ballard. That's how I know him anyway. Pete, it's Christian Ballard. See? Told you. See? I wasn't lying. I started the YouTube channel, and it'd be cool if you would subscribe. Love your content. I'll check it out, brother. You know I'll check it out. D. Tider, J. Jobs, Todd Moss. How you doing, sir? I'm sure if you're here, you're amazing and fantastic, but I already know that you are. Sooner West is in the house. Prince 6'1", Bubba Clemson. That's a good name. Bubba Clemson said, did you invite the hater dude to call in? I invite anybody to call in. As a matter of fact, if you're a hater and you want to call in, that's probably even better than the other ones. Although I welcome anybody to call. So, Ashley Snell, how you doing? Jake Wilson, Thomas McDaniels. All right, let me see if anybody's on the phone lines here. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete. It's Coulter. And luckily for you, I'm going to be a hater, but I'm going to be hating on ESPN here because from what I've seen as of late, they've been really undercrediting Oklahoma's defense because I've heard people say that LSU has a defensive advantage, which I'm just going to point out. Our one common opponent is Texas. They allowed, 38 points, and we only allowed 24?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, for those of you who cannot do math, is 14 points. And also, we are not missing tackles this year, which was easily killing us last year. I actually just checked the stats, and we have 500-something solo tackles, and only 200 tackles where it's been assisted. And there's also been people saying that our defense cannot get into the backfield. Well, then how about you Well, then I would like to see those same people watch the film from the Red River Showdown, where Sam Ellinger was sitting on the grass inside that Cotton Bowl about 9 times, and we sacked Baylor's quarterbacks nine times over 2 games.
Yeah.
If we cannot get into the backfield, then why are those quarterbacks sitting on the ground?
Well, first of all, that Oklahoma's defense is miles ahead of where it was. But here's what I want to ask you, though, and this is a serious. I'm not trolling you or anything. I'm just asking you seriously, because I don't know. That's the reason I'm asking you. Really, is the 3 players that were suspended? What were they suspended for? And how many players is it? I heard 3.
Okay, so Ramondre Stevenson, Trajan Bridges, and Ronnie Perkins are the 3 players who have been suspended. I haven't seen the official answer. But from sources that are very close to the OU athletic organization, from what I've heard, they violated team rules. But I've also heard sources say they failed drug tests. So in that regard, it's pretty similar to what Clemson faced last year.
So it's 3 players?
It's 3 players from what I know, correct. Though there is the possibility that more could be suspended.
Right. And does that worry you as far as this game's concerned?
Trajan Bridges, I haven't really heard his name called as of late with the emergence of Theo Weiss and Charleston Rambo with CeeDee Lamb getting double teamed because he is the best receiver in the country. Sit down, LSU trolls. And then the biggest, Ramondre Stevenson is a SEC style back to where it's like get yards after contact. And that was a nice counter to a Kennedy Brooks's B style of running. Which, if you remember, back in 2015 and 16 when we had Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon, how Perine was the power runner and Mixon was the speed runner.
Yeah.
That combination is very similar. So the biggest loss is easily Ronnie Perkins because he was emerging as a true star on the defensive line, and he was getting plenty of sacks. And, yes, it does worry me because Joe Burrow is a very good quarterback.
Yeah, let me ask you this.
He won the Heisman for...
Let me ask you this. So if you guys somehow find a way to get past LSU in the first round of the playoffs, and that's a big if, but let's say you do it. Let's say Oklahoma wins the game. Who, as an Oklahoma fan, would you rather play against in the national championship, either Clemson or Ohio State?
That's actually a very good question because I'm honestly not very certain because I feel like Clemson may be the better team, but because the ACC is basically Clemson and then a bunch of nobodies, it's kind of hard to tell how good Clemson is, whereas Ohio State had 2 Heisman finalists in Justin Fields and Chase Young. But honestly, I think I'd probably rather play Ohio State because the last 2 times we played the Tigers, we lost. And as much as I want to blame the refs for 2015, I will admit that we were making some mistakes. So, yeah. And then, whereas the last time we played Ohio State, that inspired a meme to where Baker Mayfield was the owner of Ohio Stadium for a week, according to Siri.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot you have a history.
But,
you have a history with them recently. Yeah, forgot about that.
I'm curious which play what actually triggers them more, Baker Mayfield planting the flag or Uvan Shaman's kick from back in 77 or something?
It was probably going into Ohio State and whipping their ass in front of their home crowd. That's probably what pissed them off. That should have been what pissed them off. Planting a flag, is that really that big of a deal? The worst tragedy that day didn't happen when Baker Mayfield planted that flag. It's when Baker Mayfield lit their ass up at home in front of everybody.
That's definitely true because, and also that was back when our defense was actually kind of good. I think our defense was getting a lot of slack in 2017 because, it was better than most people gave it credit for. It was really bad in 2018, though. But, I honestly don't actually know for sure exactly why the only thing anybody remembers from that game is Baker Mayfield planting the flag, aside from the fact that it was a kind of controversial move that got the university involved.
Yeah. Well, I'm planning on getting into more of the I've been what little time I've had on YouTube, honestly. the past week and a half.
I mean, you're
or so.
almost at 3K subscribers, so congrats on that.
Well, thank you. But anyway, the little time I've had to actually, produce videos the way I want to during this past week and a half or so, I haven't really had a chance because I spent all my time trolling Ohio State fans and talking about Ohio State Clemson with the little time that I have. I haven't really even talked about.
I mean, that's when South Carolina fans aren't talking.
Well, I haven't had a chance to get into Ohio State and LSU, and I actually think that's a pretty interesting matchup. I know most people think that LSU is just going to blow Oklahoma off the map, and that may happen. I don't know, but I think it's more interesting than people are giving it credit for. It could be closer than people think. So I'm looking forward to getting into that before that game happens.
I think it's mainly just the fact that people are saying that it's Oklahoma's defense is the issue again, when, as I stated on the last week, the main issue for Oklahoma is turnovers.
Yeah.
Like, if we're not turning the ball over, we're blowing teams out of the water or winning close games.
Right. Marie Henry, this is probably a little bit late. Sorry, I know you're still on the line here, dude. But Marie Henry with a $2 super chat. I'm very, very late in reading that. There was no message there, so thank you for the super chat, Marie. Anyways, so anything else you got for me? I mean, give me your while I have you, because I don't know if you'll call in next week or not. Give me your final score prediction for Oklahoma and LSU, and don't worry. You can sit here and listen, you're talking to Pigskin Pete. We're in the trust, what do they call it? The trust group or bubble or whatever the hell it is. You're in the trust group, okay? The circle of trust, that's what it's called. You can tell me that you think Oklahoma's going to beat LSU by 14 points, and I won't get mad at you because I know you're a homer, just like I'm a homer. So let your homer side out. Just go ahead and tell me right now how bad you're going to whip LSU's ass. Make it good, too.
We're not going to absolutely blow LSU out of the water. They are a good team. I'm not going to stand here and be delusional and say that LSU is absolute garbage compared to us because they are a very good team. But I think that both teams have at least somewhat good defenses because Oklahoma's definitely is not on the levels that you guys' is because your defensive efficiency is like, 96 or something? Like 96%. And, but so I think it's going to be kind of similar to the way I thought the Alabama game would go last year. But I'm going to say Oklahoma 49, LSU 42.
49 to 42. That's a high scoring game. That's a lot of points. All right. Well,
and I do have one other thing. I'd like to say that the last time we were getting this overlooked against an SEC opponent in a major bowl game was the Sugar Bowl in 2014. And I'm just going to take the opportunity to troll Church of Bama because I know he's trolled you a lot. How did that game end up? By the way, it was 45-31 Oklahoma at the end.
I was going to ask you how it ended up, and then you just told me. So thank you. All right.
And keep in mind that's the only time Alabama's been on a 2-game losing streak in the past 20 years or something.
Not 20. Because no, not 20 years.
The Sugar Bowl was immediately after the kick six.
Yeah, it was not 20 years. Maybe 10. Yeah.
Well, it just feels like Alabama's been the dynasty for so long. So
it had been for the past 10 years, pretty much. If Clemson were to win this year, that would change. But for right now, I'll still give it to them.
I mean, Alabama would still be considered to have a dynasty, but Clemson would probably be like the greater dynasty in a way.
Well,
if that makes any sense.
You'll see plenty of dynasty videos if they win this year. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully that happens.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and let you go. And unless we meet in the national championship, go Tigers.
All right, man.
Not LSU Tigers, Clemson Tigers. Let me clarify that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing that, too. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
All right. All right, there's you guys have it. Coulter Gask, who has been a longtime viewer and commenter. I mean, I don't know how long this guy's been calling and commenting. Probably a couple of years. A long time. He's an old head around here. Doesn't call that much, but comments all the time. Thank you for the call, sir. That was amazing and fantastic, as are you. Let me see who's in the chat here real quick. Of course, if you want to call in, the number is 864-207-4522. A lot of you guys have the biggest mouths in the comment section. As soon as I upload a video with Ohio State in the title, you guys are on here yap, 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 flap, flap, flapping your gums till no end, till I wake up the next morning and I see 10 of them from you on there. As soon as the call-in show happens, you guys sit around and watch and don't say shit. So go ahead. If you want to say shit, go ahead and call in and tell me some shit. Let's see who's in the chat here real quick while I'm waiting on one of these scaredy cats to call me. Johnny Red Dot, the circle of what did I say? What did I say? The circle of trust. Yes, that's what it is. What did I say? The group of trust. I was totally off base on that one. Clemson alum 98 says the paw of trust. Well, that's more like it. SEC dogs in the house. How you doing, man? Didn't see you in here. Virginia is the second best team in the ACC according to the Orange Bowl. That's pitiful. Even y'all got to admit that. Yes, here's the thing, though, SEC dog. You know me. I'm a big ACC defender. Hell, I'm a big Virginia defender. I think they're pretty good. We'll see what happens with them in the Orange Bowl. But guess what I'm not a defender of? The Georgia Bulldogs. For you to come on here and talk about something that's pitiful, you need to introspect on your own team, sir. Take a look there first before you start lashing out at ACC teams. What's up, the real McCoy? Pete don't make the OH 31-0 state fans cry. I'll try not to. C. Raw's in the house. Pete, are you drunk? No, not yet. We can work on that, though. Antoine Williams. What's up, Pigskin Pete? Clemson all the day. Just don't know they haven't awakened a sleeping giant. Of course. Pigskin, what's your score prediction? I'll give my total score prediction closer to the game. It's probably not a good time to do that right now. Got a call on the line here. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Pete, sir, how are you this evening?
Slim, Shady, Canes. I know your voice. How you doing, sir?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Amazing and fantastic. What you want to talk about tonight, brother?
Well, I just jumped in and I saw people giving their predictions on these playoff games, so I figured I'd throw my 2 cents in since it's free.
All right, go ahead.
I think Clemson's going to cakewalk through Oklahoma.
Hey, wait.
I don't think that's going to be.
You said.
Excuse me. LSU is going to cakewalk through Oklahoma. I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a closer game than the other semifinal game. I've got Clemson winning by 10 over Ohio State.
I like the sound of that. So what do you think? 35-25, 45-35. You said 10.
I'm actually going to say 24-14. I think both defenses are really good.
Okay. Wow, that's different than what I've heard. I've heard a lot of 40-20. This is from Ohio State fans, you know. This is where I'm getting my information from. 40-20, 35-25, 50-10, whatever.
Well, I'm still waiting on that 35-point blowout I was promised from Florida fans week 0. That one still hasn't happened.
You know what? I remember I streamed that game. I think you were in here when I was doing it too.
Yeah, I bounced into yours and lose a couple times.
Dude, Miami's they blew that game. Miami had the game won. They blew it. But anyway, we're going way back
between them and the kicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then as far as because honestly, in my opinion, the Clemson Ohio State game, that's your national championship game.
Right.
LSU is going to cakewalk through Oklahoma, and then they're probably going to get blown out by 3 scores against Clemson.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. LSU is the hardest team in this playoffs to figure out. We know who Oklahoma is, right? They're going to score a lot of points, and they're going to either give up a lot of points or maybe have a good performance and limit. But they're still going to give up a lot of points compared to the other teams. Ohio State and Clemson are very evenly matched. Who knows what's going to happen there? Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, I would like to think that Clemson's going to beat them by 14, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lost. It's just they're so hard to gauge against each other. So anyway, but you take LSU. We know who LSU is. We already know who they are. They're probably the least difficult to figure out of the 4 teams in the playoff. They're going to score a lot of points. I don't care what defense they're playing. They're going to put up at least 30 or 35 on anybody in the country. But can they stop? Can they stop anybody? That's what I want to know. We'll find that out, and that's a big thing we'll find out in this first round of this playoffs. We'll see how many they can hold Oklahoma's offense to. Because if they can hold Oklahoma to 20 points or so, that'd be pretty impressive. But if they
I don't think it'll necessarily be holding Oklahoma to 20 points or so. Oklahoma's offense hasn't been as good this year as it has the previous 2.
Right. Well,
the last few games they've only put up they haven't put up 30 points in the last 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, so their offense is still really good. It's still, I'd say, still definitely top 10. They'll probably tell you. They'll probably tell you it's better than that. But anyway, you're right. It's not as good as it was last year. It's not a big difference though. Not a big enough difference for me to think that the offense is the problem that's going to matter. The question is, how much better is their defense? Because we know their defense is better than it was last year because their defense last year was so terrible, it's not hard to be better than terrible. But how much better are they? And we'll find that out. But the problem for Oklahoma is LSU has a better offense than anybody else in the Big 12 that's not named Oklahoma. I mean, so they're going to be playing the best offense they played all year. And that's, that's true for anybody that LSU plays because LSU's offense has been so hot. But, no, I don't know, man. I feel like if somehow Oklahoma can get a couple of turnovers, then they'll be in this game. If LSU gets up to a big lead, probably, by halftime or third quarter, I don't know if Oklahoma can come back from that. I mean, it's a lot different coming back from a big deficit when you're playing Baylor than it is LSU, because LSU is going to keep scoring more than Baylor would. So,
yeah, and I mean I agree with the point you made about if Oklahoma can create some turnovers, but that hasn't exactly been the strong suit of their defense.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I do think they're going to end up losing that game, because I don't think from what I've seen of their offense the last few weeks, I don't think it's going to be able to keep up with LSU's offense.
Yeah. Well, I
do think LSU has a better defense.
Yeah, I haven't given my final score predictions on any of these playoff games yet, which I will do closer to next week. I'll do that before the game starts. But I have a feeling the game between LSU and Oklahoma is going to be more interesting than people think it is. And by the way, maybe that's just me hoping and wishing that it is, because outside of Clemson playing their game the same day, I want to see good semifinal matchups. That's really all it comes down to. As a fan of college football, I don't want to see blowouts. I mean, obviously I want to see my team blow somebody out, but if it's not my team in the game, then I want to see a good game. And we haven't seen a whole lot of really good semifinal matchups in the playoffs so far. I mean, we're into the 6th year now we're going into. And
I think the best one you could throw out there would be the Georgia-Oklahoma game.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely the most exciting one. There's no doubt about it. I think the first one against Ohio State and Alabama and the Sugar Bowl, that was a semifinal matchup. I guess that was good because Alabama was favored to win that game big, I think, that year, and Ohio State went in there. I think they ended up winning them by 2 touchdowns or something. But the first 3 quarters of that game were compelling. I think Ohio State might have ran away with it at the end of the game. But that was a good game too. There hasn't been a whole lot of good games. Most of them have been blowouts.
There hasn't been a whole bunch of good games, and I agree. The Ohio State and Alabama game was a pretty good one. But I remember watching that game, and Ohio State just never really seemed to be in trouble in that game.
Yeah. No,
you just didn't get the feeling watching that game that they were going to lose.
The whole reason that was compelling was, first of all, because it was the first year of the playoffs. That's was right. A lot of excitement surrounding that. Plus, Ohio State had lost their first and second string quarterback, and they were in there with their third string Cardale Jones. And Alabama was favored to win the game by like 10 or more points, if I remember correctly. So the whole thing just was it was a lot of media buzz and drama surrounding the entire game. And then Ohio State just went in there and took care of business. Cardale Jones hadn't started the game, I don't think, ever for Ohio State. Went out there, and the next week after that, or after they won the national championship, a couple of weeks later, this guy was giving press conferences from his high school gym talking about whether or not he's going to enter the draft based off of one game. So,
yeah.
or maybe it was 2 games. Yeah, well, based off of 2 games.
But, it would have ended up being 2 games.
Right, ended up being 2 games. But my point is that was a crazy year. And that's maybe one of the reasons that was so exciting to watch. And then, like you said, the Georgia and Oklahoma game in the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago, that was about as exciting as a football game as I've ever seen. And I'd put Clemson and Alabama 2016 right up in there as well. Actually, 15 and 16 were both exciting for Clemson and Alabama. So.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, FSU was a big was at least a 10-point favorite over Oregon too that year, because that was James Winston's last year.
Yeah, they were, and Oregon spanked their ass. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, listen, I've got a guy that's been holding for a while, so I'm gonna have to let you go. But I appreciate the call, brother.
Yes, sir, boss. Y'all have a good one.
All right, man. This guy's been holding for a few minutes. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
What?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, man? Hell, I didn't think I'd get through.
Yeah, you've been on hold. How you doing, bro? Who am I speaking with?
Oh, I'm doing good. I heard you guys talking about the 2014 championship and talking about Cardale only having 2 games,
Right.
But he played good. And I thought it was 3, considering that he came in, against Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship and stuff.
All right, so 3 games then, not 2.
Yeah, it was 3 games.
Awesome.
But anyway, I wanted to ask you a question about you were talking the other day talking about
You there? Hello? Bro. All right, go ahead and call back. Next time you call back, let me make sure you know what you want to talk about before you start talking about it. Ashley Snell is in the house. Clemson by 14. I got 10 on it. You got 10 on it? Oh, $10 super chat. I was like, damn, you only bet $10? Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it. Let me check in the chat here real quick, and then I'll get back to the phone lines in a second. Ricky Baker says Ohio State will jump out to a 14-0 lead in a hurry. Okay. We'll see. I see my boy Prince 6'1" says Pete will be here, rain or shine. I'm assuming he's answering somebody else that says I'm going to disappear or something. You know how many people have told me I'm going to disappear off YouTube? Unless you're a magician, it ain't happening. What about the 2020 class, Pete? Well, obviously, I'm extremely excited about the 2020 class that Clemson signed. I'm assuming that's what you're asking me. I mean, why wouldn't I be excited about it? But, I mean, at the end of the day, stars are great. Everyone wants 5 stars. Everyone wants 4 stars. But can you develop the players? Nobody's proven that more than Clemson over the past 10 years. When you look at the recruiting rankings based on wins and big wins. What's up, Robert Zurith? Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
What's up, man?
What's up?
Yeah, man. It's John Pablo calling you right here out of South Carolina, man. I'm really here to just talk about this whole narrative that Clemson playing nobody this year because of the ACC being down. Honestly, that narrative is kind of ridiculous, being that you do have a coaching staff that has put together a team that's gone 67-4 the past 5 seasons, right?
Yes.
All right, you have that. You have a consistent coaching staff. I think Jeff Scott's the first coach to leave us since Chad Morris back in 2014.
That's right.
You have a consistency every year. This is now the 5th straight year also. We've gone to the playoffs. So not only that, you have consistent recruiting classes every single year that are top 10, well, at least top 15 for the most part, but top 10 last year. Now this year, as of yesterday, putting together a number 1 class.
Right.
But the fact that they say we play nobody, obviously over the years, the ACC has had better teams, such as playing Louisville with the Lamar Jackson the year he won a Heisman, playing a Florida State with the Dalvin Cook when they won 10-win season, won the Orange Bowl, played a ranked NC State team last year who was undefeated, I think 6-0 when we played them. We have played teams in our league over the years that have been good. This year, yeah, it's been down, but we've still consistently put together great recruiting classes, great teams, and I think these people that are saying because the ACC is weak, somehow we're going to fail in the playoff because we haven't played anybody, don't think that we have the same teams, but we have probably 80% 4-star, 5-star players on our team that consistently get playing time from freshman, sophomore, junior year, a lot more than these bigger schools such as LSU, Oklahoma, and so on and so on. So I think it's a really stupid narrative, in my opinion, personally, because there's no drop-off in what Clemson's been able to do up until this point, and probably no drop-off anytime soon.
Well, you just said in about I don't know how long you've been speaking, but the past minute or two, everything that I've been saying over and over and over again, ever since my very first video on YouTube about, I don't know what it was, 30 months ago or something. So, yes, I agree with it 100%. Listen, here's the thing, though, man. Here's the thing that I've learned after being on YouTube is that no matter what you do, if you're Clemson, you're always going to have people saying that the ACC sucks and that's some sort of advantage for Clemson. No matter what happens. We could win 5 straight national championships, which, by the way, I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm saying if they did, you'd still have people saying that the ACC sucks, so they don't deserve all that because they don't have to play all the teams during the year. But I can guarantee you this much. There's not a blue blood team out there that's been in the mix, that's been relevant, worth a shit in the past 10 years that is looking forward to lining up against Clemson in a big-time game ever, as long as they're doing what they're doing now. So they can come on YouTube, they can go on Twitter, they can go on ESPN radio, or they can do whatever the hell they want and say whatever they want. But I promise you there's no single coach or fan base out there that's looking forward to lining up against the Clemson Tigers the way that they've been rolling the past 5, 6, 7, I think longer than that, probably 8 or 9 years, as much as they want to tell you they've only been good for 4 years.
2011, really, man.
Yeah. So it is what it is, and it's a blessing because if they didn't want to, discredit everything you did, it means you had nothing to get credit for in the first place. So the fact that they all want to discredit you means you're doing something that they don't like. And so we're lucky to be in that position right now.
Oh, yeah. And, Ohio State fans seem like they don't realize they've never beat Clemson in their entire history. Yeah.
Oh, they know it. They know it. They know it if they're watching this. They already know that if they're watching this YouTube channel because I've said it 150 times. But
we played Oklahoma 2014 and 15, destroyed them both times. But a lot of these big blue blood schools have not done anything to us in the past 10 years. That's what I find ridiculous.
Listen, I got respect. I got respect for all of them. I got respect for all of them.
I do too.
I do. I mean, as a fan, I got respect. I got respect for Ohio State. I got respect for Alabama. I got respect for all these teams that are going toe-to-toe with Clemson.
100%. But I think their fans just seem to forget, we've been consistent with them the past 10 years. That's what my point is here.
Well, if they don't think that, they haven't been paying attention. But yeah. All right, listen, I got to go because I got a couple of other calls on the line, but I appreciate your call, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, just calling in. I've been watching your show the last few weeks. I think you're doing a pretty good job. Actually, an Ohio State fan, but I've just been watching you, looking up Ohio State, Clemson stuff. Like your passion for the game. Agree with a lot of what you say. I was just wanting to talk to you and ask you a little bit about, or touch on some of the things you mentioned recently about recruiting not mattering, because I agree with you on that, because if you look at Michigan and Clemson, they both have similar recruits in that same range from 11th to 12th to 9th or 8th, or in that area. And every year Clemson comes out strong, and Michigan, we've kicked their ass the last 4 or 5 years. I think you guys got a good culture there. As a Buckeyes fan, I do believe we are the more talented team this year. I know that we haven't beat Clemson before, and I'm eager as hell for this game. But I just wanted to touch on the Big Ten championship. If Ohio State comes out slow like that against Clemson, I don't think that we're going to be able to beat Clemson. But if we can come out and play hard and play the football that we have against a lot of great teams this year, I'm just curious, just asking you, what are some things that Clemson fans are worried about playing up against Ohio State? Is there anything that you guys might be concerned about? I know you guys have had a pretty fluid offense, but right. Chase Young, these guys on defense have really.
Yeah, so you just nailed it on the head. I mean, I can't, obviously, you asked, what Clemson fans are worried about. I can't speak for all Clemson fans, obviously. I mean, believe me, there's a lot of Clemson fans that don't like me. They think I'm too arrogant or whatever. They don't get what I'm doing. So I'm not every Clemson fan. I'm just big skin Pete. But I can tell you what I'm worried about, and you just nailed it. It's Chase Young. I think that Chase Young is a deciding factor of whether or not Clemson can win this football game, because he's that disruptive and he's that good. And so if and this is a big if they can find a way to limit and mitigate Chase Young's pass rush and limit him to only maybe 2 sacks and maybe 4 hurries, which is a big task, right, for anybody, then Clemson has a chance. All right, now if Chase Young's going to bust through the offensive line, no matter where they line him up, because they line him up all over the place, and so you never know where he's going to go. But if he can bust through the offensive line and give Trevor Lawrence no time, or get 4 sacks or something like that, then that will be a problem. The issue that I look for Ohio State to have is the issue every team that plays Clemson's had over the past several years, is that they are so dynamic on as far as the running game and the passing game, and Trevor Lawrence being able to get the ball out of his hands very quickly, that it's extremely hard to defend. So if Chase Young is chasing ghosts all day, if he's only got 2 seconds to get to the quarterback, but he's getting there in 1.5 seconds instead of 2 seconds, and the ball's already out of Lawrence's hand, then he's going to have to respect that. He's also going to have to respect Travis Etienne running. Now, this is the same problem Clemson's defense has with Ohio State. So it's not, it's not exclusive to one side or the other. But that's the deciding factor for me. People ask me, what, this guy, he's so confident. No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not so confident that I'm guaranteeing wins for any team. I never have. I don't care who we're playing. I don't guarantee wins. But I can tell you right now that if Chase Young has a field day, Clemson loses. If they can somehow mitigate him, find a way to limit the pass rush and get the ball out of Lawrence's hand early, or have success early in the running game, then Clemson will win the game, I think.
I like your opinion on that. And I feel like, Michigan, if you watch the first half of the Michigan game, that quarterback lit us up, just passing the ball, downfield passes. And I think if our cornerbacks don't come out ready to play against Lawrence, I don't think that Ohio State can recover from being down 30-14 at halftime or something like that.
Right.
I think that I can see where you're saying with that. And I just have one more question for you. Just because, Ohio State fans are spoiled. And there was a lot of Ohio State fans that were really upset from being dropped from 1 to 2. But then I think about Clemson, and I'm like, damn, they've won the last 30 games, and they're not ranked first. Why do you think that Clemson doesn't get that kind of respect that Ohio State would? Clearly, if they won the championship last year and won out, then I believe we would be ranked first.
Well, you sure would. But here's the thing: and that's just my opinion. I think that
clearly most of the Buckeyes fans I've talked to and that I know we fear Clemson more than LSU. We would have definitely rather got that first rank, but I can see how a lot of you guys are just throwing your hands up in the air like, how the hell, what do we got to do to be ranked first? Because I think that as defending champions, you guys do deserve that, right?
Well, here's the thing. As a fan, I would like to say yes, they deserve it because I've been watching them dominate for the past 2 years, right? So, yeah, as a fan, I would say Clemson deserves to be number one. But as somebody that just watches objectively and says, how does this playoff committee decide who's ranked number one, number two, number three, number four? I understand where they're at. Listen, the ACC was not great this year. They weren't great last year. They've had 2 down years. That's not Clemson's fault, but it's also – it is what it is. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Now, if they would have left Clemson out of the playoffs completely just based on how bad the ACC was, I would have had a problem with that. If they were defending defending national champions who have won 2 national championships in the past 3 years, haven't lost a game, like you said, they're 28 straight wins now. So, yeah, I would have had a problem with that. I don't have a problem with where they're at now. Honestly, I had Ohio State number 1 in my rankings.
I did too. But like I said, just excited for the game. I plan on calling in after the game, regardless of the results, and really excited for it. Have a Merry Christmas and go Bucks, man.
All right, man. Thank you for calling in, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, this will be the last call I'm taking. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Who am I speaking with?
This is Jeremy, man. Actually, I'm calling from Colorado. I'm from South Carolina. First year out here, man. So it's been kind of hard not being in Death Valley for the home games.
I bet it has, man. But how's Colorado, though?
Oh, it's cold, man. Snow's still on the ground. About 25 degrees outside.
I bet it is. Well, I knew you were about to say cold. Hell, it's cold here in South Carolina. I know it's cold as shit out there. But other than the cold, though, how is it?
Dude, I love it, man.
Really?
It's a laid back lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a little different from being in the South,
yeah.
but definitely laid back. I got to get used to there not being many college teams around here other than Colorado and Colorado State.
Yeah, but I bet it's beautiful though. You got a view of the mountains everywhere you go, probably.
Oh God, yeah. I'm in Colorado Springs, man. So I'm literally about 5 miles from the Rockies.
Yeah, man, that is God's country out there, man. It's beautiful out there.
Oh yeah. Hey, great hunting, good people, man. No drama.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're probably out there for work or something, or for some reason why you had to move out there. I'm assuming you don't have to tell me your business, but for me, I'm a Southern boy at heart. My parents are from the Northeast, Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, and but they, I live in a military town. Grew up in Charleston, South Carolina. I love the South. I love it, the Southeast. I love being by the beach. So I love going out to places like Colorado and staying there for a week or two and then coming back home. So it's got to be a totally different thing to actually live out there. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it was a, they say, it was work related, but it's hard to turn down a great job opportunity, and it was a good change for a year or two. Like I told them, I was like, it'll be a year or two, and I'll be ready to go back down south. I'm not much of a winter person.
Yeah. So is it like
everybody? I'm definitely not big on having to fly 1,700 miles to go watch a Clemson game.
Yeah, I hear that. So when you walk down the street, do you smell weed everywhere? Is that true? Like everyone says?
Man, I'm gonna tell you what. There's trees on every corner down here. It seems like it's no thing. They get to work and see somebody outside hitting a cartridge, smoking a joint.
Yeah.
It's what it is down here.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, so what do you want to talk about as far as – I'm assuming you want to talk about this Clemson and Ohio State game, right?
Yeah, it's funny. Chase Young is a beast, man, and I hear it on TV nonstop. But, Jackson Carman isn't getting any credit there. He's a 5-star recruit. He's a freaking huge guy, super strong. The same way basically with Mitch Hyatt the past couple of years. He owned defenders in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He didn't give up massive sacks to Watson, or Lawrence in that fact. But I don't think Jackson Carman is either. Most of our players have been clutch in big moments.
Yeah, I'm actually, when these Ohio State fans ask me what my biggest fear is, because they say you seem like you're, fearless in this game, which first of all, I'm fearless in every game because I'm not playing a game. I'm just some dude watching the thing on the TV. So yeah, I'm fearless as far as that goes. But the only thing I do fear is Chase Young. If they could, like I just told the last call, if they could find a way to slow him down, which, like you just said, we haven't had a problem doing with a lot of elite pass rushers over the past few years. I told my father-in-law this a couple of hours ago before I came on in here. I said, the Ohio State fans have convinced me that they are as talented as Clemson, even though I thought 2 weeks ago that Clemson was more talented than them. These guys have inundated me and convinced me that they're as talented as us. I say that's all great. The difference in this game, if all things are equal on the field between the lines, between all the players on both teams, is we have Brent Venables. We have Brent Venables and they don't. So I'm taking the team.
Right.
I'm taking the team that's got Brent Venables on the sideline and not the other one. That's pretty much all there is to it.
Any day of the week, and that's one thing, man. That was the biggest blessing we've had come Clemson and God knows how long. When we got in from Oklahoma, man, I was cutting cartwheels basically. I was so happy. That was a game changer. Getting rid of Kevin Steele and getting him in there was the biggest thing we've ever done.
Yeah, look, and I know people will say that last year don't matter and the year before don't matter, and that there's a lot of truth to that. This Ohio State team isn't last year's team. This Clemson's team is not last year's team. They certainly aren't the same teams they were in 2016. But I can tell you one thing. Alabama's team last year, ask them what happened whenever Brent Venables had 3 weeks to prepare for them. And we're talking about it. Listen, this is what people forget about, especially Ohio State fans. Alabama's offense last year was one of the most prolific offenses that we've seen maybe ever in college football. That's how good they were. And they went out there against Clemson in that national championship game and looked pedestrian. Pedestrian. Hello?
Yeah, that was great, man. I mean, you sit back and think about the score could have actually been worse than what it was if Dabo would have wanted to run it up a little bit further.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not saying that's going to happen this year, but, as a Clemson fan, it's hard not to be confident, isn't it? I mean.
No, dude. We went through our bad years, so we deserve to be able to enjoy the good.
Right. And when you win this much, hell, listen, Ohio State fans are as confident as we are, and they haven't won as much as we have in the past 5-6 years. So
right, we made their last coach retire. So
and I don't blame them for being confident. I mean, they're just doing their thing. But can they blame us for not being confident too? I mean, we should be the most confident team in the country right now. I mean, we've earned it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, and we definitely should have some pissed off players. They missed out on a lot of awards this year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a.
But man, hey, dude, I enjoy your show, man. I'm not gonna hold you up and let you get back to what you do. Like I said, hey, go Tigers. And I definitely think we're going to take it home.
All right, man. I appreciate you calling in, brother. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, bud. Have a good one. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. All right, I got one more call here. I said that would be the last one. I'm going to take one more, and then I'm going to shut it down. Good afternoon, young Pete. What's up?
How you doing today on this fine evening?
I'm amazing and fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We just brought in one of our best recruiting classes in a long time, and I'm feeling fantastic now.
You should be. Tell me about what your favorite recruit was and why.
Jeff Sims. I mean, everybody had him committed to Florida State, and we basically just took him away, and I love that.
All right.
Even though they did have Willie Taggart, I still feel really confident. I mean, you're still taking it from a good program, even though the program was pitiful with him. But yes. I still feel really good about that.
Well, yeah, taking anybody from anybody feels good. So,
I'd like to take the D tackle Jones from Alabama because he'd be perfect for our team.
Has he not signed? He's not signed yet?
No, he hasn't signed. He ain't going to sign until February.
Yeah. I was looking at some of the leftover. Well, that's probably not the right word to use, calling these kids leftovers. But you know what I mean. People that haven't signed yet. the highest rated guys that haven't signed yet. There's actually a pretty good bit of them. I don't think there's any 5 stars left. There's a bunch of 4 stars though. Still a lot of good players out there to get. The problem is you have to look at your scholarship and how many people you have left you can sign. I'm trying to think of how many Clemson has left. It changes like hourly. It seems like when you look it up. So I think they're able to sign. I don't even know. I don't even want to make a guess because I don't want to say the wrong number. But it's not a lot. They filled most of their scholarships up.
But no, you're right. I mean, we signed 25 so far. Although we had a small senior class, so we probably don't got too many spots left as well.
No, there's not.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's not many left. I don't know exactly the number. And I start getting into recruiting right around January, mid to late January. I'm not a big recruiting guy. People follow that stuff year round, and I do. I mean, I'm just like any other casual fan. I will follow, like when Deshaun Watson was being recruited. I mean, I was excited about that. When Trevor Lawrence, when C.J. Spiller back in the day was being recruited, I was excited about that. But I don't really, people. They put a lot of time into the recruiting, and I understand that, and I respect that. But these guys, you never know until they sign. So you could be following some guy thinking he's going somewhere for 2.5 years. And then the last day he flips to somewhere else. And you just wasted 2.5 years thinking he's going there. So it's so unpredictable that I don't bother myself with engrossing my time into it. You know what I'm saying? So I follow it, when it's.
No, I get what you're saying.
When it's finalized. Like when they sign, I'm happy about it. I'll follow it then. I'm just not one of the recruiting guys, but I get it. I mean, that's something to be excited about, something to look forward to for a lot of people. It's just not.
I mean, when we're a 3-9 team, I don't have much to look forward to.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
No, I mean, like I said, I've still been more invested this year than I have 10 years with Paul Jones. I mean, that's saying something.
Well. You guys are headed in the right direction. Where'd you end up? The 17th or maybe top 15? What is it?
No, we dropped. We were number 20, but for some reason they hopped FSU and Nebraska over us.
All right, I think you're projected to finish in the top 15. We'll see what happens. But that's a huge leap up from where you were before.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm telling you, I've been saying I like the hire. Since they hired him. So he's already doing a much better job than what was there before, which is what I've been trying to tell a lot of your fan base for the past couple of years. So,
But, no, you're right. But besides that point, I actually wanted to tell you that I think Clemson's got the national championship game going to it at least. I'm honestly rooting for them.
Good. Well, you should be.
Because I despise Ohio State.
You sound like a lot of people I've been talking to lately.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been talking to the right people.
All right, man. Anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. But I'll see you later. Have a nice day, Pete.
All right, man. I appreciate
it. God bless and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too, man. All right, guys.
We
there
are
you have
sorry,
it.
but the show has ended. Goodbye.
That will be the conclusion of the Thursday Night Beer Stream call-in show with Pigskin Pete. Thank you to all the callers. Thank you to all the commenters. Thank you to all the super chatters, Marie Henry and Ashley Snell. Let me see who's in the chat here real quick before I get off. I see a lot of weed is bad for you stuff. Yeah. Anyway, all right, guys. That'll be it for me tonight. I will be doing some streams probably for some of these bowl games. I don't know. Leave your vote in the comment section. I'll send out a poll or something to ask which games you guys would like to see me stream during the bowl season. More than likely, I'm not going to be doing the Bahamas Bowl against Nobody State and Who Gives a Crap University. So keep it real. All right. Don't give me the Bahama Bowl. All right. But as far as the bigger bowls go, let me know your vote as far as what you would like me to stream. I'm planning on streaming 2 or 3 bowl games. I will not be streaming the Fiesta Bowl with Clemson and Ohio State for obvious reasons. But I will be on immediately following that game on December 28th. No matter what happens, Clemson wins, Clemson loses, I'll be on YouTube immediately following that, so keep an eye out for that. A lot of people are looking forward to that. Most of the ones that are looking forward to it are the ones that are telling me they're looking forward to me coming on and crying or something. I don't know if they think I'm going to cry or break my TV or jump out my window out of my second floor of my house. I don't know what they think is going to happen, but none of that's going to happen either way. But I'll definitely be doing a video for it. So thank you all for stopping in. I appreciate it. You're all amazing. You're all fantastic. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete is checking out.